Hey, what's up, Chael? My name is Jesse, and this is coming from Canada. Now, I have a question for you in regards to the Khabib Gaethje fight. Now, is it a lose-lose for Gaethje? So, if Gaethje ends up losing, then Khabib obviously stays and remains the number one champion, the undefeated fighter of all time, kind of thing. Or if Khabib loses, is it going to be chalked up to because his dad recently passed away, he wasn't able to train properly, he didn't have his coach, his corner man, that kind of narrative? Now, is it going to be that, or will it remain such as, now Khabib finally lost, he's not the dominant fighter he once used to be, kind of so on and so forth? What do you think the narrative is going to be on this fight? Say Khabib wins or Khabib loses. Let me know your thoughts.
You're talking about excuse making. I really don't see that. I've never seen that. And anybody that looks at a fight that way is very off putting to me. You will hear guys come out and lay out their case a number of times ahead of time, usually for something that they want. They'll say things like, this is the only fight that makes sense, right? The only fight that makes sense. If you have one fight that makes sense, you suck at your career. If you don't always have a whole bunch of fights and any one of them could make sense. Now, if you want to say the most sense, we're having a little bit of a different conversation, not fully a different conversation, but if you're telling me this is the only fight that makes sense, if you said that, take 2 weeks off and then quit. That's what you need to do. You have failed. And whenever a guy does that and he begins laying out all of the reasons, he's internalizing his very small bubble he lives in, which is very normal for an athlete, but it's also very off-putting. To be an athlete in combat, not a team sport, a one-on-one, selfishness is required. That's true. But when you come out and you display this level of selfishness, you start breaking down the ranking. Well, this guy's ranked here and I'm ranked here and we have a common opponent and he stopped him and I stopped him a little faster. Nobody knew any of those things. If you're explaining, you are losing. If something makes sense, if there's only one fight that makes it, you don't need to explain it to us. We will know. We will tell you. If you have to come out and preach it to us, then you're trapped within your own bubble. You're too close to the trees to see the forest, which is very common with human beings. But not very common with human beings do you have a job where your ideas and your thoughts are so public. That's why it's called a promotion. That is the difference. No, Khabib is not going to fall back on I lost my father and therefore. I mean, in all fairness, this is a very sensitive topic, right? But in all fairness, Khabib has been jammed up with the absence of his dad before. This is totally different. Totally different. But hear me out. There was 2 different fights, just off the top of my head, where Khabib's father could not get into the country for whatever reason. Was it visa issues, passport issues, but he couldn't get in the country. So all of a sudden, Khabib's looking around. He didn't have a corner man. I could just tell you, Clayton Hires, God bless him, is alive and well. But if I ever got to an event and Clayton's not there, we got a big problem. I don't warm up until Clayton tells me to warm up. I don't put my cup on until Clayton tells me. I don't even know where my mouthpiece is until he sticks it in my mouth. That's the way it goes. So when Khabib gets out there and he doesn't have his dad, excuse me, he never uses an excuse. He just didn't. Khabib is very manly. He is very, very manly. This is a battle he's got in front of him. If you want to talk about it, I think that it's very fair game. And I do also wonder, where is he at emotionally? Is this a Rocky moment? Is this a Mike Tyson Customato moment where he's going to dig deep and go and do it for the memory? Or is he in a tough spot and he just doesn't want to go do it at all? I mean, and we wouldn't judge him. We wouldn't hold that against him. But to act as though this isn't a fair competition that's going to be contested at the agreed upon weight class under the unified rules, and to do anything to take away from what could potentially be a glorious moment for Justin Gaethje is also not right. It's just not. And I will tell you the cold hard reality, these guys are going to go fight. They're going to put their lives on the line. I mean, they're putting everything on hold. Khabib's dealing with all sorts of stuff and still finding a way to stay the course. Gaethje's got to do, I mean, we're in a strange time right now. He's got his own problems and he's going to stay the course. I can assure you, whatever you know about Khabib, Gaethje's got something going on too that maybe we haven't heard about. Khabib's we heard about because. And the because is his father was so known and so loved and so important to this sport and to that region and to the training and to the coaching. Their relationship was something that was very special. I can just assure for you, Gaethje has his own problems. But you won't hear about them. These aren't excuse makers. Everything has been agreed to. We're going to put it on. That's what this sport is. This sport is about putting it on the line at a specific time, at a specific date. I have seen athletes over the course, ever since we implemented a ranking system. Now, SureDog, who's a major publication and the first ever to rank, has been doing rankings for a period of time. But the actual recognized rankings, recognized by Dana White, came out in 2012. And since 2012, I have seen so many athletes, including champions, that's, I can't fight. I'm hurt, I'm sick, I don't feel it, whatever the excuses, but I can't fight. Well, if you can't fight, we have to take you away from the ranking. And you will have guys that remain ranked, but you're missing the point. It's not about skills or laurels. It's about a specific time and a specific place. And if you're doing a ranking specifically today, by example, and you have a guy saying, I can't even walk out there and do it. I can't practice, I can't train, I can't cut weight. I realize the coldness to my message of removing a guy from a ranking for reasons that were not his fault, but that's not what the ranking is. We're not dismissing somebody as a good person or wishing them ill. We're speaking very specifically who can beat who at this time on this place that both parties agreed to ahead of time. Most important part of a contract is the date, in my opinion. And many lawyers would agree with me. The most important thing is the date. Imagine this. Just an example that I know you will understand. I'm going to give you $1 billion. I am. You're now a billionaire. But we haven't discussed when I'm going to give that to you. Do I get to give you a penny a year for the next 100 billion years? By example, I mean, do you see the problem? Do you see where the date is really relevant? So whatever they're going through and however they feel, this date and time is when I've got to beat you, or I don't, or you beat me. And whatever the excuse and whatever the reason, it doesn't have a damn thing to do with it. The rules were followed. The contract that we both agreed to ahead of time was honored. Enjoy your victory, or I'm going to go enjoy mine.